Hi, welcome to Wrokdown. I'm Wendy Stapleton. When Wrokdown first started filming, it was basically because we'd lost two of our most beloved musicians in fast succession. The first was Lobby Lloyd, and the other, of course, was Billy Thorpe. Tonight, having written her own book on her perspective of life, with this Australian rock icon, would you please welcome Lynn Thorpe? Lynn, thanks for coming in this evening. Obviously, we're here tonight to really have a look at a book that you've written on your perspective of life with Billy. Obviously, throughout the show, we'll be having a look at some of your favourite shots. But it is a beautiful, big photo, glossy, gorgeous book. Let's start at the beginning of life with Billy for you, because a lot of us know about Billy's earlier career in Sydney. He was started off...
Well, he was a huge pop star in Sydney in the 60s, early 60s, in Surf City. Started in Surf City with Billy Thorpe and the Aztecs, and Poison Ivy and all those songs that everyone remembers, Mashed Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of those. And then he moved to Melbourne, and that's where I met him.
Tell us how you met him. How do you get to meet he was then definitely one of the biggest pop stars in Australia.
Yes, he was. I was working in the Australian Entertainment Exchange booking bands, and he came in one day. And apparently I just looked right through him, and he was very impressed. So he told me.
Well, isn't it funny? I've heard that from so many people in the music industry that I won't mention names, but I do know for a fact that quite a few of our biggest music industry people actually went for their wives for that exact same reason.
Right.
They either ignored them totally or, basically ignored them or didn't want to know.
Right, or didn't idolise them or, yeah.
Absolutely. So that worked well?
It seemed to. Yes.
So how did you first start going out?
Well, he sent me 3 dozen yellow roses on my 21st birthday, signed, happy birthday, love Billy, and I had no idea who Billy was. So I called my friend's mother, whose name was Billy, and said, "Did you send me roses?" She thought I had lost my mind, and I'm not quite sure how I found out that he sent them to me. It must have been, I met him in the local shop, I think, because he was living right behind my apartment.
Where was that?
In South Yarra, Williams Road, and yes, I think I went round and apologised for not acknowledging his flowers, and
that's where
we
it
went
all
out,
started.
yeah, on my motorbike. I took him out to dinner.
You are a bit of a biker girl.
On the back of my little motorbike, not built for two.
So were you there during Sunbury days?
Sunbury was, yes, that was about when I first met him. Straight into the huge pop festival scene, and the mad Melbourne pub scene.
Did you go up to Sunbury?
I did go to Sunbury. We pitched a little tent, got out there early, playing at being hippies, and pitched a tent, and when the crowd started to arrive, our tent was trampled and we were homeless.
Okay, so back in Melbourne, as you said then, by that stage Billy had become the long-haired wild rocker, and a lot of people have actually credited him and Lobby Lloyd with starting what we call the Melbourne pub scene.
Yes.
What was that as opposed to what was going on with music before the Melbourne pub scene? Was that planned? Had he planned to do that to sort of try and deliberately break away from that Sydney image that he had?
Yes, I think he was ready to rock out and be a lot freer than he was. And he met Lobby when he came to Melbourne, who sort of took him down that
path.
Yeah, I think he did. They knew each other from Brisbane.
Oh, really?
They were at the same high school, but Lobby was a lot older. Mm.
So I know that they were in the band for a while, and then Lobby left to go back to, was it the Coloured Balls?
Or the Wild Cherries or Coloured Balls, I can't remember, yeah.
And then Billy, of course, reformed with several lineups, I guess, but the one that I remember mainly was with Warren Morgan and...
That's right, Gil Matthews and Paul Wheeler. Yes, that was I think that was the main Melbourne band.
People here had heard that Billy was, doing a lot of things in America, but of course, not really being there, we weren't really quite aware of all the different sorts of things that he was doing.
Right.
In America. So we'll just take a short break. When we come back, let's talk about the big move that it must have been, especially for you,
yes,
to move from all of your friends and familiar surroundings to go and live in, was it LA?
LA.
We'll be back in a minute.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My very special guest is Lynn Thorpe. Rowdy. Lynn, by what stage were you actually married when you left Australia to go to
No,
the
but I'd had a
States?
baby. We had young Rusty, who was 4 when we left the country. Yes, we just sailed off into the wide blue yonder.
Most artists that had any degree of success in Australia at one stage either tried their luck in England
Yes.
or America. And America at this stage seemed to be the place to go. And you would think that, of course, you'd leave Australia, all your friends and family, and go to LA and not really know that many people, but that wasn't the case, was it?
No, there was a small group of Australians there. Well, we all arrived about the same time, I think. The one that was there first was Helen Reddy.
Oh, okay.
She'd done I Am Woman and become very...
Huge.
Yeah, huge. But then the second wave came with Olivia Newton-John and Pat Farah, or Pat Carroll, as she was known here.
Paddy Carroll.
Paddy Carroll. And John Farah, who wrote all Olivia's hits. They arrived about the same time, so we spent a lot of time with them.
So it was it was known as the Gum Leaf Mafia.
The Gum Leaf Mafia.
So was it wonderful to have that huge amount of support there in LA?
Yes, it was, but I was busy at home because by that time I had 2 daughters, so I was on the school run and being mum, really.
While you were over there in LA, of course, apart from Bill being involved in his musical projects, I know that you guys became very involved in, was it books? Bill and...
Tony Barber.
Tony Barber.
Oh, no, it was toys, a toy range.
And how did it go?
Went fantastically.
Did it?
Yeah. They put their suits on and went and sold them to Mattel and, yeah, did a fantastic deal.
So it did really, really well.
It did well.
Great. And then I read that Billy also went back into studio mode and started writing songs for mainly television.
Yes, he did 3 series of War of the Worlds, which was just round the clock, 1 a week. So it was, start on Sunday, hand it in on next Friday, start the next one. So he always worked hard, very hard.
Amazing other projects.
Well, when we first got there, he did 3 albums, album tour, and Children of the Sun was a massive hit over there.
Was it?
It was, but they wouldn't play it here for some reason. It was sort of such a right turn for him. He made a sci-fi album with all these kind of strange sound effects, and they loved it there, especially in Texas.
But still, as you said, Billy worked very, very hard, and a lot of the success that he achieved, and you achieved as a family too, because it's not all one-sided, wasn't ever really well known or documented back here in Australia. As you said, they wouldn't play the
Albums, yes, there were 3 of them. Yeah, so it was quite strange. He could never work that out, why they wouldn't play it here, but just didn't like it.
They didn't like the music, or do you think the fact that you
No,
weren't
they didn't
here,
like the fact that he'd left. I
He'd
think.
left.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing, isn't it?
Mm.
People don't generally like you to go on and be more successful than...
or leave Australia.
Or leave
but
Australia.
he never really left. He always came back, and his parents were here, and he was always back. Every year, just about, he was back here doing something. So.
Of course, a lot of people weren't aware of that. I guess it was probably more come back and see the family, the odd little project, and...
Yeah, and he didn't really come back and play until Mick Fleetwood
Okay.
and the Zoo. He joined mixed band.
That's
and
right,
I came
yeah.
back and did a little tour here.
How did that go?
Yeah, I think that was good. Just mad men on the road.
So all up, how many years did you and the family live?
Well,
over
quite
there?
a lot. We were there for possibly 23 years. It just sort of rolled on. We didn't mean to stay that long at all. It's just the girls were in school and new projects kept coming up and we just stayed on.
So the girls virtually grew up as Americans.
They've got American accents.
Do they?
Yes, they do.
And their names are?
Their names are Rusty and Lauren.
Rusty and Lauren.
Yes.
How old are they now?
They're 38 and 32 now, and they're both in Sydney.
Oh, are they? So they're back in
come
Australia
back.
as well?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a short break, but when we come back, I'd really love to talk to you about the decision to come back to Australia. We'll be back soon with Lynn Thorpe.
Wrokdown.
Welcome back to Wrokdown. My guest this evening is Lynn Thorpe. We've been talking about your life in LA, the fact that basically your two girls were raised over there and virtually raised as Americans. Then this decision to come back to Australia, what triggered that?
I think it was Billy's books that he started writing. Well, his book that he started writing, Sex and Thugs and Rock and Roll. It was about 1 year in King's Cross when he first met the Aztecs and how it all took off and he became a massive pop star.
Now, tell us a little bit about Tangier, because I know that you went to Morocco and it was for your birthday.
My big 50. Yes, we did a month tour of Morocco, and in the early part of it was my birthday, and somehow or other we ended up having it in the console to the King of Morocco's palace. So I'm not sure how that happened, and I still don't know because it was a surprise. Yeah,
a lot of people flew over from Australia.
Yes, Michael Chugg was over, and Deborah Thomas from the Women's Weekly and her husband, and yes, we had
lots
an
of friends from
amazing
America.
night. Yeah, orchestras and Ganoan drummers drummed us in. It was amazing. Billy sang Over the Rainbow to me with the orchestra.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, did you cry?
Yeah, and he brought the girls over to surprise me because I'd wanted to spend my 50th with them, and he said, we're going touring Morocco, and I didn't. I said, what are we going to do in Morocco? And he brought that back to me many times after that.
After that.
Yes.
With the album Tangier, was the concept
I think it was born on the first day we got there. He went straight into a back room and started writing.
Can you tell me a little bit about the influence, the music influence? And
I don't know, it was the music, it was just the magic of the place. Something just affected him really deeply, and it stayed with him for the rest of his life, and he worked on this album for the rest of his life.
So how many years did he work on that?
Well, from Morocco 2000 to 2007.
And so 7 years.
And then we spent 3 years finishing it. So
we talk a little bit about finishing something that wasn't finished. How did you do that?
Well, Michael Chugg and Amanda Pellman executive produced it. We found a young producer called Daniel Denham who added the orchestrations. The basic thing was there. He hadn't quite finished the vocals, so there's a couple missing, which Jack Thompson narrates.
Oh.
But the music was there. So, and yeah, it's just magic.
Just Amanda Pellman, of course, and Michael Chugg were, correct me if I'm wrong, co-producers of Long Way to the Top with Bill?
Yes, they were, and the Jacobsons. Cole Joy
and his brother.
Yeah.
Can you fill us in a little bit about how that came about, Long Way to the Top? Because that was an absolutely huge tour.
It was fantastic. It came out of the ABC series of the same name, Long Way to the Top, which traced the rock and roll history of Australia. And we watched it, just glued to it, and Billy just got the brainwave that he should take that on the road. like get as many of the old
Little Paddy
acts together.
Cold Joy.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been
And
wonderful.
It went on and on, yeah. And yeah, they invested a lot of money in it, and it went really well.
So then you were based in Sydney, I guess, at this stage.
Yes.
And Tangier, as you said, had been 7 years in the making. And then, of course, you lost Billy.
Mm.
That's 3 years.
3 years, yeah. 3 years, February.
When did you decide to do this?
Well, looking at all the things, I always wanted to do a photographic book because I'm a bit of an amateur photographer myself, and I had so many beautiful photos of Billy. The original idea was just to do a photographic tribute to him, but it grew and grew and grew into this big tapestry of a book.
And as you said, people like Jack Thompson.
Yes, Jack
Olivia.
introduces it. It does the forward in it, and lots of interviews with Olivia and Barry Gibb and Jimmy Barnes and Angry Anderson. Lots of people. Old Aztecs. Yeah.
How are you going?
I'm going well, thank you.
You're going well? You
I
look
am.
like you're going well. I want to thank you so much for coming on, talking about your life, your family's life with Bill. This is an absolutely fantastic book, and all the best. Thank you.
Thanks,
Lynn
Wendy.
Thorpe.
Thank you.